EFL Awards took place over the weekend and we have to go ahead and react to all of them that were dished out. We've got the Championship Team of the Season, Goal of the Season, Player, Young Player, all of that to discuss in today's video. And as always, I want to get your guys' verdict on all of these awards in the comments down below, because it's fair to say that some of these have caused a massive debate on social media. So we'll start out with the Young Player of the Year award, and this was won by Bristol City's Alex Scott. It was quite a closely contested one. He was up against Sunderland's Amad Diallo and Middlesbrough's Hayden Hackney. I think all three of them would have been deserving winners, but Alex Scott this season, in terms of the stardust that he sprinkled into this Bristol City side, the responsibility he's taken on and how much he's actually grown as a player, I don't have that many complaints about this award. Now, a lot of people have pointed towards the fact that, you know, Alex Scott, he's only got 5 goal contributions this season, 1 goal and 4 assists, but we need to get past this obsession of judging players, especially of the profile of someone like a Scott, by goals and assists. That's not how, you know, you look into someone like Scott, and that's not how you appreciate the sort of talent that he actually is. It sort of draws a comparison back to when Jude Bellingham had that real breakthrough season with Birmingham, and people were calling him, you know, overhyped and overinflated because he'd only got, I think, 6 goals that season for Birmingham. But despite that, we all knew at the time the sort of generational talent that he could go on to become because of the other things, the intangibles that he sort of mastered from his time at Birmingham. And that right there is what I'm sort of thinking of Alex Scott at the moment. I mean, when Bristol City came to Deepdale earlier in the season, he absolutely ran the show from midfield. And don't get me wrong, that's not to say that the other two wouldn't have been a deserving winner either. I mean, Amad Diallo has been fantastic for Sunderland this season, a side who is currently in the top 6, 12 goals and 3 assists. For some reason though, I'm not sure if this is only me, but I would always favour someone who is an outright Championship player than someone who's been loaned into the Championship. So in this case, obviously Diallo is on loan from Manchester United, but I mean, that one's at your individual discretion, I suppose. But in terms of individual flair and things like that, the goals that he's had from this season so far, Diallo would have been a deserving winner. And maybe in terms of the surprise youngster who's really come onto this scene and grown in responsibility throughout the season in a side who's, you know, right up there battling for promotion at the top of the league, would be Middlesbrough's Hayden Hackney, and the responsibility that he's taken on under Carrick especially, and how integral he's actually been to that side in the middle. But all things considered, I'm not mad at the Alex Scott pick for Young Player of the Season. I think he has been that good for Bristol City, and I think there's a massive move in the pipeline coming in the summer. In terms of the Player of the Season award, that was given to Middlesbrough's Chuba Akpom, and he would have been my pick for this award as well, so was pleased to see him winning this one. The turnaround in Akpom at the Riverside has been absolutely miraculous to see. The overall story of him originally coming in, then being shipped out on loan, not really being fancied by Wilder, and then the miraculous turnaround in form under Michael Carrick. The numbers back it up, but I think when it comes to Akpom as well, the eye test also goes ahead and does that. He was up against Josh Brownhill and Victor Gyökeres, two people who definitely have a stake to claim for this award. But personally for me, I think this was one of the easier decisions. I think he's a worthy winner. The Manager of the Season award was given to Vincent Kompany. Now, there has been quite a bit of discussion around this one. The 3 managers who were in contention and nominated for the award were Vincent Kompany, Michael Carrick and Mark Robins. And I think there are several other managers who have got a valid claim to be in that mix as well, but those were the 3 managers picked out. And all things considered, I think I would also have given the award to Kompany. Don't get me wrong, later in the video we'll come to some of the awards given out that I don't agree with, but each of them have done a fine job this season. If we think of the behind the scenes issues going on at Coventry at the start of the season, the budget that Robins has been working towards, and what he's got pound for pound out of that squad, definitely worthy of his inclusion in the top 3. Michael Carrick taking that Middlesbrough squad from the depths of the division up to the top 4 in the Championship is well worthy of praise as well. But let's not forget the juggernaut of attacks that Vincent Kompany had to take on at Burnley at the start of the season. I know the elephant in the room that a lot of people will throw at Kompany is the fact that, yes, they did spend a lot of money, but he also had the bare bones of a squad on the first day of pre-season really to work into. They went ahead completely completely revolutionised their playing style, the overall culture at the club, and doing that in the Championship, no matter how much money you spend in rebuilding that squad, is no easy feat. We've seen several other clubs crumble trying to do the same thing in years gone by. The football's been really attractive this season, and they have been by far and away the best team in the league. So Vincent Kompany, manager of the season, I'm not mad at. I think I actually agree with it as well. But when we get to the goal of the season award, this is where we get really controversial, because Ismaila Sarr has won it for his strike against West Brom, and there's nothing taken away from that goal. It's a very good hit from inside his own half, manages to lob David Button. But if we break this one down, I am absolutely flabbergasted that it's managed to win the EFL Goal of the Season award, considering that it didn't even win the Goal of the Month award back when it was scored. The strike is fantastic, but if we break it down, Button's a mile off his line. Sarr's not really got anyone closing him down and has quite a while to actually execute the finish, which is fantastic, but dare I say, the vast majority of professional footballers could pull off that sort of strike in a similar scenario. What I don't think the vast majority of footballers can pull off is the audacious strike that Brad Potts managed to pull off against Luton Town, which I genuinely think is like Puskas worthy of being nominated for that award. It is crazy to me that Sarr managed to win the Goal of the Season award when it didn't even win the Goal of the Month award in the Championship, but such is the nature of these awards. For me, the Brad Potts goal against Luton was clear, but I want to hear your thoughts on that down below. This is what we are actually here for, though, the official Championship team of the season. So we'll go through each of these players here and discuss whether or not they justify their place in the starting 11, because there's been plenty of chat on social media regarding each of these players. Starting out in goal, the EFL have gone for Ben Wilson. I don't hate this pick. I think me personally, I'd have probably been between two goalkeepers. There were some others who were probably in the conversation, but myself personally, Ben Wilson or Victor Johansson at Rotherham, and that one really comes down to personal preference. Wilson this season didn't start out as Coventry's number one, but forced his way into that side, has since gone on to pick up 19 clean sheets, been fantastic for them this season. Johansson on the other side, though, has faced more shots than any other Championship goalkeeper this season, made 45 more saves than Wilson have, and while he has conceded more goals, he's been playing in front of a considerably weaker back line, and the amount of points I think Johansson has single-handedly saved Rotherham this season, had it not been for his efforts in net, I think that Rotherham would be in the relegation zone right now. I think back to the game where Rotherham came to Deepdale earlier in the season, and he was like on a one-man mission to keep them in that game. So Ben Wilson, definitely worthy of being in there, but on personal preference, I think I would have Johansson in ahead of him. Right back, Connor Roberts, I think that's the fair choice. I think he has been, for me, the best right back in the Championship this season. Excellent attacking output, and also adapted to this Vincent Kompany side with relative ease. The two centre-halves are interesting. I think there were a few others that were in the conversation, but I think they would have been my first picks. Ahmed Hozic, I think, is just a shoe into this side. He's been a Rolls Royce of a signing for Sheffield United this season. Attacking output, but defensively so. I think probably been the best defender in the Championship this season. And then that second spot was a little bit up for debate, but I'm really pleased that Tom Lockyer did make the cut in the end. You could throw a few others in there. Charlie Cresswell's been really impressive at Millwall this season. Taylor Howard-Bellis has obviously been fantastic at Burnley. But Tom Lockyer, this season, I think has just been the complete package for Luton. So strong, aerially commanding, the leader of that back line. And Luton at the back are a cohesive unit. And when, one of those players dips out, you lose a little bit of something. But Lockyer is the person who holds all of that together. And I'm quite pleased he made it in. Left back, though, is a massive debate, and I think it was a choice between three players. Matston's made the cut in the end, but Ryan Giles and Ryan Manning will also have something to say about that. Each of them bring different strengths to the table. Giles has had the best creative numbers so far this season with 11 assists, but you could maybe argue that out of the three players, he's probably the weakest defensively. Matston, the overall package, been brilliant in this Vincent Kompany side this season. And then you got Ryan Manning at Swansea, who's arguably been the most consistent out of all three of them. When I made my mid-season Championship team of the season, I actually included Manning in there. I really think he's been that good for Swansea this season. 5 goals, 9 assists, so versatile, can play several different roles for that side. And I mean, this one really is a question of preference. If I personally had to be pushed on it, I'd be tempted to go Manning, you know, but it's hard to ignore someone like Giles who's into double figures for assists. So the goalkeeper and back line I'm fairly content with. When we get into midfield, this is where everything sort of falls apart, if we're being honest. First things first, why is Nathan Tella in central midfield? I think they had to shuffle this team around a little bit. If you want Tella in there, switch up the formation to maybe a 4-2-3-1, get Tella playing off that left-hand side and, you know, shove Akpom back into the number 10 role. If we are discussing the two out-and-out central midfielders, we've got Alex Scott and Josh Brownhill in there. They've both been fantastic this season. Scott, we lauded before, I think was a worthy winner of the Young Player of the Year award. However, for me personally, I don't think he'd make the cut for my overall championship team of the season. I think there's a couple other players who I just have in ahead of it. I know the Blades' performances have tailed off somewhat over this past month or so, but we cannot ignore the overall contribution that Ollie Norwood has had in that side this season. He has been absolutely flawless for several months of the season, being that conductor for the Blades side. It'll be another promotion he'll get on his championship CV this season. I think he'd be a midfielder who I personally would have for his overall impact ahead of Scott here. And another midfielder who I'd have in there, probably over Scott as well, is Gustavo Hamer. I've absolutely loved the guy since he first came over to Coventry, and I think we've seen him really clicking up a gear or two this season for Cov. He's been the, you know, real driving force behind that side, making it into the top six along with Gyökeres, and I think deserves his sort of recognition in this side. We then get to Brownhill, who has also been absolutely fantastic. I mean, this was a player who was nominated for the Championship Player of the Season award. However, if I had to be pushed on including just one Burnley central midfielder, for what I see of the games I've seen of Burnley this season, I think Cullen's quite hard pressed to miss out on this side actually. Brownhill gets the nod because he gets more goal contributions in the final third and is that player who, you know, you'll see on the score sheet, but Cullen, for the underrated work he does off the ball, keep that side ticking over, I think he's quite unlucky to miss out on this side as well. So those are the sort of more controversial picks in midfield, and if you were going for a 4-3-3, you'd probably drop Tella for one of those midfielders who I've just mentioned. But if I had it my way, I'd probably rejig the formation a little bit, get Tella into that front three and drop Akpom back into the number 10 role, because when it does come to the forward three, I don't think many people have any real squabbles over this one. I think those have been the outstanding attackers in the league this season. Tella, for the sheer volume of goals he scored, especially in the second half of the season for Burnley, and Dye consistently has been arguably one of the best players in the league this season. And then it was Akpom and Gyökeres who were going really, for me, head to head for the overall player of the season this time around. Gyökeres I've been absolutely blown away by how much his game has come on these past few months. Not just in terms of the goals, but I think the actual shot creation is the thing that impresses me most when I'm watching the Coventry forward. Some other honourable mentions: Colton Morris, quite hard pressed to miss out in the end with 19 goals and 6 assists. Joel Perreault maybe has even put himself in the conversation with his goal scoring streak recently. And Zian Fleming, who's of course been fantastic for Millwall, but I think just misses out because of the brilliance of some others. From a pure stylistic point of view as well, I've really enjoyed watching João Pedro at times this season, but I think he misses out because of Watford's poor campaign overall. But guys, there we have it. Those are my thoughts on the Championship Team of the Season and the overall EFL Awards. Do you agree with what I've said in today's video? Let me know down below who would make it into your personal Championship Team of the Season. But if you did go on to enjoy, make sure to leave a like and make sure to stick around for some regular Championship content. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you all in the next one.